My dudes, I love villains. And not just because they're cool, edgy, or whatever, but because they're usually a catalyst to the story. For sure, a hero can go around saving people from an occasional monster or help an old lady cross the road. However, when a big bad shows up, things get real very quickly. There are many antagonists out there, each possessing unique traits and assets. However, we can still group them up, so let's talk about what makes a truly great villain. Hello comrade, my name is Mahis. Come, get yourself a beverage and sit down with me, we got Darkside to explore. Well, exploring is not the right word, because I'm getting into something I'm aware of, while you might not be, so here's a spoiler warning for the following shows. I'll be talking about specific, very plot-related characters, and that includes their actions, motivations, goals, as well as the endings of said shows. So, just like on enemy territory, proceed with caution. Alright, we're going to focus on 5 character attributes that I believe are essential to a good antagonist. Having said that, excelling in all 5 is almost impossible, and frankly not necessary. Although, they do have levels of importance, so let's start with the least crucial, most flexible, and work our way up. Appeal. General looks and aesthetics. You can't deny the fact that if a villain looks lame, no matter how it turns out, shit ain't gonna be as fun to watch. Note that it doesn't have to be the most magnificent, awe-inspiring creature to do the job. The amount of designs is insane, some shows going above and beyond. The limit is the author's imagination and the general style itself. That's very important. Put Blackbeard into Cowboy Bebop and my boner is gone, as I can't take that shit seriously anymore. Style aside, there are 3 very generalized ways of presenting your villain. Obviously a bad guy, neutral, and what a twist. Naturally, the distribution of these across the shows will be a bell curve, with Johann Liebert on one end and someone like Major on the other. Which one to pick depends on what you want from your villain. Duh. To immediately antagonize the character, give them I beat old ladies at night look. Oh, and don't forget some fucked up voice like this one.
なんと素晴らしい。さすがは次の方であらせられる方でいらっしゃる。
If you want to toy with your viewer's heart, do the opposite and wait for the surprise Pikachu face when they find out. To me though, it's the neutral ones that are most interesting. Take Muzan, his first impression was phenomenal for me. When I've seen him along with his attitude and actions, I had to adjust the way I sat to accommodate my ass being excited as fuck. Yes, it all came crashing down as we saw later, but the looks got me hooked, even before the lower moon meeting. That's the purpose of the first impression, and since we often make our judgment in the first 15 seconds, usually based on the looks, this is a great opportunity to deliver a message. The second thing is personality, often the next thing we notice after the character is introduced. And let me tell you, being evil, sad, hurt, or horny is not a fucking personality. Screw that cartoon one-dimensional villain shit. A personality is a combination of behavior, thoughts, and emotions. Remember, an antagonist is also a character. They have their lives, experiences, and so on. There is a reason why they are the way they are, and that should be visible. I'll give you an example of a very charismatic dude. Yes, he is evil in the eyes of our main character, and rightfully so, he has done some horrible shit. But it's the way he's going about his goals and confronting the MC that makes him so fascinating. I wish I could show you the entire thing, but it's like 10 minutes, so here's a highlight.
公安局です。武器を捨てて投降しなさい。あかね。待っててユキ、今助けるから。
僕は牧島翔吾。
トリガーをロックします。
ただシビラの信託のままに生きる人間たちに果たして価値はあるんだろうか。
今すぐユキを解放しなさい。さもないと。
This guy has literally broken her by giving her a choice. His mission is to expose and destroy the system that regulates everything and removes human decision from the equation. He went as far as to give his enemy a loaded shotgun and said, "Kill me for crying out loud," all to make her understand the consequences of not having free will, because that's how she lived her entire life. For how fucked up the situation was, he still had a point. You need to think for yourself. That's another aspect of what makes any character great, and it's even more impactful when the villain is spitting facts, because once again, it makes it easier to relate and put on their shoes. Would I have done something like that in his position? Would I have the same emotions and motivations? Those are the questions a great villain will invoke within us. Now we're getting into the territory where a lot of antagonists fall off as they lack this third characteristic, end goal. Once again, wanting to become a Hokage all of a sudden is not good enough. What's next? You want to become a Hokage to do what? You want to conquer the world to do what? For what purpose do you want to destroy a world? Well, because this is the only way for this character to cease existing. You see, she has been around for thousands of years, maybe even close to 1,000,000, depending on how evolution works there. She had enough. Long story short, she can either learn the value of life to die, or so long as this world turns, you shall walk its face. Destroying the world will literally achieve her ultimate goal. Now, how about Acnologia, for example? Destroy all dragons, then all humans, and? Are you going to live the rest of your life alone with some animals sprinkled around? Or are you gonna kill them too, eventually? This kind of writing is simple, because hey, this guy is bad, we're good, let's beat the shit out of him and make everyone happy. But if we add a sad backstory, some justification and so on, a moral dilemma arises and maybe we're not so good after all. People with double-digit IQ get confused and start hating on the show. How dare a battle shonen make me think of what's right and what's wrong? Okay dude, if your IQ is 99, chill, I like to exaggerate to make a point. However, you can make a villain who wants to see the world burn and make him great. The fuck-mothering Major. But what's so different about him? He is perfectly aware of his actions and consequences. His monologue is one of the greatest out there and I want you to listen to it elsewhere. It's long and I can't fit it in here. And it will give you the perfect understanding of his character. He loves war, all aspects of it, including defeat. It doesn't matter how it goes, as long as the blood is flowing, houses are burning and people suffer. Mahis, for fuck's sake! That's the same exact shit as with Acnologia. No it isn't. When Flappy Wings is done with humans, he will continue to exist and there will be another target, who knows what. The Major, on the other hand, will fight or command until he's dead, reaching his ultimate goal, which is basically going out with a bang. Hopefully that made sense more or less, as this is the most convoluted thing on the list, so unclench your butt cheeks, it gets more straightforward. Thing number 4. Competence. A moment of silence for all those villains who, whether to plot armor or other reasons, didn't do shit in the grand scheme of things. It's fucking infuriating, I tell you that, because every time this happens, I think of a cartoon villain from some Nickelodeon show. They show up, wreak a bit of havoc, get their ass whooped, and rinse and repeat. I'd go on a tirade about Muzan again, but I did that already. Eye of the Midnight Sun. These guys attack the capital, wound the guy, lose several members in a surprise attack mind you, dip, show up, get into a brawl, dip, send one of their best guys to retrieve the artifact, rip, and so on. Yes, they pushed us past our limits, but I was never afraid of the good guys losing, because they're all talk and I don't see any results of their attack, Flagolian arm and paint job on some buildings aside. It straight up diminishes our heroes. Think about it this way, we have beaten an antagonist who didn't even do anything serious. Nobody died, they didn't get their pretty shinies, we got a chance to upgrade our security system, and we even found a snitch. Stakes are way too low. Remember the woman who wanted to destroy the world to die? Say what you want about Ruby, I'd probably agree with most of it, but boy did they write the villains well, even Cinder in her own right, but I digress. Salem is one of the most competent big bads. Yeah, they are big and she is bad. She, unlike many other very old characters, behaves like she has been around for a few trips around the sun. She's calm and collected, makes brilliant plans, has her crew do the job, each assigned according to their strength and is catered to individually. Surprise, surprise, that works. She brings down one Huntsman Academy while killing and injuring important characters, then there is a bit of a hiccup due to some idiot thinking she knows better and our hero scoring W for the first time in 5 seasons, also known as volumes, to then fail so badly that they've lost an entire kingdom this time, along with the relics that they've previously secured. It's like if Pain went to Sand and Cloud to take the Jinchuriki personally, destroying both villages in the process. Not to say that Pain was incompetent, it's quite the opposite, but the show would have taken a different route for sure. The lesson here is if you want your villain to command fear and respect, make them win every once in a while. That way a viewer is never sure of what to expect, as it can go either way, thus having them sit on the edge of a seat every time a main antagonist is making moves. Lastly, in my opinion, the most overlooked attribute of a villain, something that many people don't even realize is possible, and oh so sweet when we see it, a character arc. I said this before and I'll die on that hill. An antagonist is also a character who lives in the world and experiences events. When so many main characters go through their hardships, trauma, victories and losses and subsequently change to reflect those, why do so many villains stay the same throughout the show? Look at Tomura Shigaraki. He has started as an evil brat with some henchmen, to turn into an absolute menace to society who learned to plan and command. Yes, we have seen his tragic past and the flashbacks are good, but they give us information on the character's starting point. Here's an important distinction. What I'm talking about here is from the start of the show to the end. What happens before is not character development, it's exposition. When it comes to character development though, especially in villains, there is none better than that of Meruem. The guy was literally born an overpowered I'ma rule everybody, to later have a midlife crisis and ultimately wanting to spend his last moments with a loved one, totally abandoning his evil side. All of that in the span of 40 days, just so you know, and 45-ish episodes. The best part is, his transformation was gradual with a few key moments. There is no magical, oh, I woke up good today because the plot needed me to do so. We could see every stage vividly and it was believable. I can't stress this enough, you have to make sure the character makes sense within the story and is relatable in some way, because otherwise nobody would care for them in general. Hunter x Hunter made us hate him the moment he came out of the womb, and by the end even I shed a tear for him. At that point, he was the most relatable character in the show. He was more human than any of our entire good guys. Was he bad? No fucking shit, he killed kids on screen. But through interaction with people, through their sacrifice and after suffering pain for fuck's sake, he has learned humility. Why is Gaara so universally loved? Because he went through the same exact thing, except he didn't die and continued on the right path. Man, we got to have more complicated villains in this bitch. Shit got way too predictable and one-dimensional. I love me some hype moments, some bombastic action, but there are so many more emotions to experience and almost all of them are directed at the hero. While for the antagonist, it's either leaving us sad cause last minute backstory or hating them for whatever reason. Remember, a villain in one story is a hero in another. That's how the best ones are written, thus they should send us on a roller coaster too. Sometimes we love the main character, sometimes we hate them for certain things, and it should be the same for the antagonist, as they are a part of the story. Heck, it's their story most of the time, just from a different perspective. So I tell you, in order to make a great villain, you got to include some of the points I mentioned, as well as write a captivating character and a story which makes sense through the eyes of said character. It was I, Mahis, forcing my ideas on you through the microphone. Have a great, whatever time of the day you have. Until next time, cheers. So let's talk about what makes a truly great villain.